Bonjour mesdames et messieurs, bienvenue à Salon Son Image. Je m'appelle John Atkinson, je suis le rédacteur en chef de Stereophile. And that's about the end of my French. Mille pardon, and outgoing English. We have here, as well as myself, three of Stereophile's leading writers. To my immediate right is Art Dudley, writes the listener column to Stereophile. And for many years was the editor of his own Listener magazine. I was very pleased when 6 years ago Listener folded and Art was able to join Stereophile. In the center of the stage is Canadian Bob Deutsch. Bob is a singer and loves horn speakers and low-powered amplifiers and the human voice. And finally, on the stage right, audience left, is Stephen Mejias. Stephen is Stereophile's acting managing editor and has a very popular blog on the Stereophile website. Stephen represents a new generation of audiophiles. He's half my age exactly, and has got heavily into vinyl in the last few months. Stephen. So I just thought I'd give a few comments which were crossing my mind, and then throw the event open to questions from you guys. And I was just thinking about the fact that it'll be 33 years this summer that I joined Hi-Fi News and Record Review magazine in England. And the world was so different then. We had, it was a tightly knit community. There was one major source of high-end music, LPs. Even though Open Your Tape had some followers, we all had LPs, that's all we had. There was no such thing as specialty wires. There were just the wires that came in the box with the products that we bought. We were just on there were some tube amplifiers still around, but we were all heavily into solid state amps because we all knew they must be better because they could use transistors, which were relatively new. And we had a massive sense of community because we all listened to the same music, we all listened to the same kind of systems, and life was relatively simple. Now we live in a totally balkanized situation where you have, we have many media to choose from. We still have LP, it's coming back. We have CD, we have high resolution discs, DVD audio and Super Audio CD, both of which seem to have fallen by the wayside, with perhaps CD lingering on as a niche product for classical recordings. We have downloads, we have high resolution downloads, we have CD quality downloads, we have the downloads as FLAC files, we have MP3s in various kinds of quality. The music world is as fragmented. Not only do we now know that wires matter, but we have choices of many different kinds of wires. There are wires with boxes, there are wires that look like ribbons, there are traditional looking wires, there are wires that you suspend off the floor on neat little risers. We have tube amps, we have single-ended tube amps, we have high-powered tube amps, we have solid-state amps, we have Class A solid-state amps, we have switching amplifiers. It's very confusing, it's very balkanized. It seems at times that people who like one kind of way of reproducing their music, say through single-ended tube amps, driving horn speakers, listening only to 78s, hate and despise anybody else. Those who like low sensitivity moving coil speakers driven by humongous solid-state amplifiers looks with scorn down at everybody else. Those who, it's conflict. And I wonder at times if we've lost that sense of overall community that used to bind us as audiophiles together. When I first became an audiophile in the mid-60s, we had a store in town. It's called the Record Shop. They sold records, which then of course was LPs. And as a high school kid, I used to go there every Saturday. My friends used to go there. It was the social part of our life. It's where we went to hang out, to check out new music. The store had a good system. They'd play us new recordings, of which there was an infinite supply of new vinyl from Jimi Hendrix, from Cream, from Jefferson Airplane, from Neil Young. It just, you know, every week there were wonderful recordings released, and we knew it would never stop. And that store had a hi-fi part to it, where the owner would allow us occasionally up into the inner sanctum, where we would hear recordings of the most wonderful quality played on equipment with names like Bradford and Quad and League and Lowther. And the hi-fi store in our little town was the social gathering place for people my age. And I'm thinking now, you know, what, 50 years later, 40 years later, I am still riding, surfing that wave of enthusiasm which was engendered in me by the people I met in the record shop. And I wonder, what is the equivalent now? Are there still dealers like that who encourage people to come in, even if they're only going to buy something once in a blue moon? But there are no record stores left, major record stores left. I live in New York, and we have 2 Virgin megastores, both of which are now closing. There's nowhere else you can go that stops deep catalog where you can browse. So that aspect of the store is gone. It's no longer the social magnet. So I just like to throw that out as, you know, where did our community go? Is there a sense of community? What binds us together as audiophiles? So who on the panel would like to take the ball from me? Stephen?
Well, I think the thing that should bind us together as audiophiles is music. Recently, it occurred to me that hi-fi is a hobby for me, but music is my passion. And for those audiophiles I've become friends with here in the industry, what drives us is our appreciation for music. And everything else, those divisions, should not matter. That's what I think. But they do. I don't have an answer for that.
I'm impressed with the devotion of the LP community in the blog. Some of you may have seen, I had a picture of people looking through records, and Stephen had a similar one. And what struck me about that was interesting, that they all seemed to be having such a good time. They were smiling at each other. A couple of them were talking as if they're about to discover some wonderful LP that they've been looking for, or something that they haven't been looking for, but there it is, and you can take it out. And that creates a kind of community. Now, at the same time, I have to admit that I'm not really part of that community. I have lots of LPs, and occasionally I buy some, but I don't feel that I'm part of that LP community. That Michael Framer, for example, of course, he's such an important person for that community. But I do look at the people who are going through the LP bins and having such a good time, and I have a sort of a wistful nostalgia feeling, saying, boy, those were good times, and it's just that I'm not sure that if I can recapture that for myself. But I do agree with Stephen that music is the #1 thing, and we all have our own preferences in music. And I may cause my audiophile membership card to be withdrawn, but I would rather listen to music that I like on a computer in a compressed format than music that I really don't like on very high resolution, because my concern is about music.